Thinking of flipping a home or building instant equity in the San Fernando Valley? Welcome to this Panorama City home tour, where we're showcasing a serious fixer-upper with huge upside. This three-bedroom, two-bath pool home is priced for potential and packed with opportunity. Whether you're an investor, savvy buyer, or dreaming of creating your own ADU, this Panorama City home for sale could be the project you've been waiting for. In this full walkthrough, I'll break down the condition of every room and give you a real-world renovation cost estimate, so you'll know exactly what it takes to bring this property back to life. On today's home tour, we're in Panorama City, California. And yes, we're going to show you everything about this three-bedroom, two-bath, 1,040 square foot home that's on over a 6,000 square foot lot. But the focus of today's video is going to be able to show you what things cost, especially because a lot of our sellers utilized our Concierge Plus program where they can rehab and fix the property, remodel it before the home hits the market. And this way they don't have to put a single cent out of pocket until they close escrow. So essentially it just gets deducted out of their net proceeds. And I'm going to walk you through kind of what the cost would be if you were to remodel this home. So now this would be considered an entry-level home here in Southern California, being that it's 3 bedrooms and it's only 1,040 square feet of living space. Now, interestingly enough, the next door neighbor ended up buying this from our seller, so that's why this home actually never hit the market. But to be honest with you, a house in this condition in this neighborhood of Panorama City would probably run you about $650,000 to $675,000. And let's turn around, start with the front of the house, and then we'll go inside and I'll kind of show you how much everything would cost. But before I actually show you the front of the house, where are we? So again, we're in Panorama City, California. We're off the 5 freeway. Again, we're in the San Fernando Valley. We're north of Roscoe Boulevard and about a block east of Woodman, very close to the Kaiser Permanente Hospital in Panorama City. Okay, so in front here, you have this nice driveway. Can definitely park a few cars. Now, you do have this gate here. You might be able to fit a trailer behind it. Definitely not a big RV. Over to the left right there, you can see that gray box. So you have electric vehicle charger right there set up for you. So if you have an EV, this would definitely work. But you don't really have enough room unless you took out the gate to put in a large RV or boat. Most people are probably just going to park their cars here in the front of this driveway. Like the white fence here. And then whoever comes in, right, who's going to buy this house, they're going to most likely redo the landscaping here. And look, landscaping might be the one cost that people underestimate the most. And, you know, mulch, crushed rock, the prices of those items alone since the pandemic have absolutely skyrocketed. It's amazing to see how much the prices just on those 2 items alone have increased dramatically. So most people are probably going to take out, right, the vegetation right here, the trees that you have in front of the house, and probably do something different, right? You know, some people might put in artificial grass, you might put in a lawn, you might come in with basically a low maintenance landscaping plan, right? But it's all going to be expensive, right? You know, just the simplest plan is probably going to run you about $5,000 easily just to clean up stuff. So again, depending if you go in something bigger, that number could jump dramatically. All right, so let's walk to the front of the house here, and we're going to make our way to the front door, and we're going to be able to go inside, and can't wait to show you how much it would cost to be able to renovate this home. There's no formal entry in this home, so you immediately walk into the living room, and then you can see the dining room right here. So let me pan the other way so you can get a much better vantage point of that. Now take a look at the floors here, right? These are the original floors from the 1950s, right? Very popular in homes in the San Fernando Valley that were built during this era. But look, someone's going to have to come in. If you're able to refinish them, because this is a house that's just over 1,000 square feet, you're probably looking at about $4,800 up to $5,000 to be able to refinish the floors through this house. Now, we believe that there is wood flooring underneath the carpeting, so you'd have to rip it up, but you never know what you're going to get, right? And, it's possible that it might not be possible actually to refinish these floors depending on the damage to them, right? And one thing I want to point out too is this house is pretty clean right now. Obviously, someone's going to come in and remodel it to their liking. But when we first took a look at this house, this was a hoarder house. It was filled to the brim with different items. And the stench was so bad that you actually had to wear a mask. That's how bad the odor was. All right. Getting back to the flooring. So if you're able to refinish the floors, it's going to be about $4,800, $5,000 to be able to do that. If you were to put in a new flooring, let's just say like a luxury vinyl plank flooring, which we so often do on our Concierge Plus program homes, that type of flooring, we typically, with that luxury vinyl plank, usually see it about $6.25 a square foot. That includes labor, installation, everything out the door. Well, the prices are changing right now.
As of July 1st, 2025, the new price is going to be $6.50 per square foot. And a lot of that is due to the fact that a lot of the flooring does come from China.
And so as a result of that, they're not getting enough flooring in stock, so the prices are going up. So this is one of the casualties of what's taking place globally economically. So just something to keep in mind. Still $6.50, right? Multiply that times 1,040, and then there is your cost right there to be able to put in the luxury vinyl plank flooring. So you're probably looking at something around $7,000, depending on the type of flooring that you end up putting in if you weren't going to actually refinish the floors. All right, let's step back here, right? Taking a look at the walls, whoever's going to come in here is going to paint, right? That's probably going to be one of the first things that they actually do. So if you were to paint, this is a smaller house, entry level. So you're probably looking to paint the house like this, probably in the range of about $5,000 to be able to have a nice paint job in here. And then that also goes for the exterior as well too, right? If you're going to paint the exterior of a house like this, it's probably going to run you about $5,000. Now, a lot of the paint companies like Dunn Edwards, for example, they're starting to raise their prices too. So it's not just on flooring. But as of right now, we usually find for a house this size, it would run you about $5,000 to paint the interior and another $5,000 to paint the exterior of the home. So moving on over to your formal dining area. And by the way, just to go back to the painting, that would include painting the baseboards or putting a brand new baseboard molding on. And something that you always want to do when it comes to painting, it's a great opportunity to be able to switch out the electrical plate covers and the outlets. You don't want them looking yellow, right? When you have this brand new fresh coat of paint, whatever color that you may decide to go with. Now, a lot of people have been going with an accent wall. I probably wouldn't choose this blue accent wall right here, which is basically part of the kitchen, but you do see a lot of people take one wall in the living room and paint it a different color. You want something that's clean, but not going to be too bright, not going to stand out too much, unless you want the tropical vibe that you have right here. All right, so coming on over to our kitchen, right? So you got your tile counter, and here, look, you can see this is the original Formica back in the day, back from the 50s. And then there is no range in here. It was so dilapidated, so worn, that we told the seller to definitely take it up. You have your refrigerator line. Now, this is how a lot of kitchens were set up in this neighborhood way back in the day, right? You had your dryer over here, and then have your washing machine right over there. Now, most people prefer not to have their washer and dryer in the kitchen. So I would say most people would like to be able to move that to another place in the house. If you were going to remodel your kitchen, including cabinets and, middle of the road appliances, you're probably looking at about $18,000 to $20,000, and that number can go up depending on the finishes, right? If you want a higher end quartz countertop, a thicker quartz countertop, that's probably going to increase your cost as well. But you don't have a lot of cabinets in here, right? So it wouldn't be much more expensive than that $18,000 to $20,000, right? And so the one thing that's nice is what you see in a lot of homes, especially if you're looking at homes these days, is because you don't have a lot of counter space. So this is one of the reasons why I would move the washer and dryer, is so you can get a lot more counter space. But many times, and I would say most of the time, you end up having extra quartz, right, for your countertops, and you can utilize that for your new vanity in the bathroom, and we'll talk about that in a second. It's Scott Himelstein with the Scott Himelstein Group. Hey, as always, I always like to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch another one of our home tours. Hope you're enjoying this one so far. So like we've been talking about, the Concierge Plus program, it's a great way for our sellers to be able to basically maximize their equity on their house, because they can remodel, right, or make repairs to the house with no upfront cost. So we literally have one that's closing in about a week that spent almost $100,000 in our program. And this is a crazy one, right? Because investors were telling them, oh yeah, sell it to us for about $550,000. And they put in a good amount of money, and guess what? They're gonna sell it for just over $1 million. So it's a huge difference. And as a result of the inventory increasing right now, these are some of the things that buyers are looking for. They want move-in ready homes. Most of the buyers don't have the funds on hand to do a remodel, right? Because the interest rates are higher right now. And as a result of that, the buyer is basically trying to scrape every single penny to put in a larger down payment to keep their monthly payment a little bit lower. All right, let's get back to the home tour. We're going to cross over the hallway into the first bedroom. So again, whoever's going to come in here, unless you like stained green carpeting, they're going to be able to take out this carpeting, right? You're going to paint, right? You know, you're going to change the electrical plate covers like we talked about here. Now, I want to show you this. There's a few areas you might have seen in the living room that have this track lighting. If it was me, you put in the can lighting. Those run you about $60 per light. Those are LED lights. And you know what? They're extremely bright. So this is not very bright right now. It looks a little brighter than it probably is, only because we're shooting this tour during daylight hours. And then again, like we talked about, when it comes to flooring, you would replace the carpet here with your luxury vinyl plank flooring, or you'd be able to refinish the wood flooring underneath. And then making our way over right here to this bathroom. If it was me, I would probably replace the vanity in its entirety, put in a new vanity. And then, you know, if you have extra, you can match the quartz countertop you have in the kitchen with the vanity here, as well as the flooring, right? Probably put in a new modern light fixture. Those aren't very expensive. Put in a brand new toilet, a couple $100. Now, if you were looking to just sell the house and this was the condition of your tub, you could reglaze it, right? You could reglaze it. Probably cost you about $950 to $1,000 or so, and it would look a very shiny pearl white. But, you know, if you're going to be living in it, right, you're probably going to redo this. You're going to redo all the tile here in this shower enclosure. And you might be able to keep the tub. Probably just needs a really good clean. All right. And look, someone who's going to come into this house is also going to replace the doors. So the doors, you know, depending on what type of door you get, could be a couple $100, can range up to about $1,000, $1,200. So it just depends on what type of door you're going to put in. So this is the middle bedroom, and we would consider this the primary bedroom. So you have a different colored carpeting here. Same thing. We believe that there's wood underneath this carpeting here. And then you have an attached bathroom. So take a look at this bathroom. Same thing as the other bathroom, right? You know, whoever's going to come in is probably going to remove the tile if you're going to be living here. But if you were selling it through the Concierge Plus program, we would probably just reglaze it white. And again, that would run you about $1,000 or so. So this one has a nice shower enclosure. Here you go, you have 2 bathrooms, which is important because originally a lot of homes in this neighborhood, they only had 1 bathroom. So the fact that you have 2, that's a huge plus in this neighborhood. And you could see, like, these are the areas, right, where you're gonna fix that chip paint and the nails in the wall. That's something that your painters always should be doing. All right, so now we make it over to the third and final bedroom. You have a different type of green carpeting. Same deal again. You have the wood flooring underneath, or you can put a different type of flooring on if you decided. And I wanted to show you the windows because we haven't talked about windows yet. So windows, most of these are the old windows. They're pretty much shut. I don't even know how you would open these. They don't seem to open. And if it was me, right, you're going to put in brand new windows. And that's typically something you usually do before you start painting. But if you're going to put the windows in throughout the house, windows easily, depending on what type of window, can run you $20,000 to $40,000 and kind of everything in between. So it just depends on how many windows you decide to replace. The brand and the quality obviously are going to be huge when it comes to windows and what the cost is going to be. Because if it was me, I would probably take this out and probably put in a large window right here just to allow all that true natural light to shine through. All right, so that is the interior of the house. Love to get your opinion on what you think so far. So we're back at the front of the house again, right? So we're going to make our way through the driveway, and now you get a close-up of that electric vehicle charger right there, which I was talking to you much earlier in this video about. And now we're going to kind of come back here. Now you can see what I was talking about, that whoever's going to come in here is going to end up doing some landscape, or at least cutting some things back, right? Depending on how you want to customize it. So I want to make our way over to the pool, right? So the pool, water level's okay, right? Good sized pool, but you can see that the plaster is quite weathered and worn. And so to be able to replaster a pool right now will run you about $6,500 to $7,500, depending on how deep the pool is and kind of the condition of it. But I would say most of the time it's going to run you kind of something in that number, to be honest. And then, it kind of comes down to, well, are you going to be redoing the patio decking as well? So concrete is a lot more expensive these days, but maybe you're going to put in a tile outside, right? It depends really what your ultimate goal is going to be. Now you have a covered patio out here too. Always recommend during a home inspection to get a wood destroying pest inspection. This one turned out to be a-okay, but if you're a buyer right now, this is something that we highly recommend, because remember, the wood destroying pest doesn't just look for dry wood and subterranean termites. It also looks for dry rot and fungus as well, especially in the eaves and fascia. All right, so you have a detached garage that goes into the alley. And so because this garage is detached, definitely a lot of ADU potential here for sure. And so you're looking at about 450 square feet of possible living space if you convert it into an ADU. And an accessory dwelling unit is going to run you about $80,000. If you were to expand it and make it a little bigger, it'd probably run you about $100,000. But that's kind of the going rate right now. And then obviously that number could increase depending on your finishes. But what I'm seeing right now is that most of the ADUs that are garage conversions, they end up running in that $80,000 price point. So let me know what you think of this house. What type of remodeling would you do to this house? Remember, this is an entry-level home. Love to get your thoughts. What type of things are you remodeling to your home right now? Let us know in the comments below. All right, guys, again, Scott Himelstein with the Scott Himelstein Group. What did you think of this home? So again, if you're interested in learning more what it costs to renovate a home in Los Angeles, the cost here for a house of this size in this neighborhood obviously is going to be different than a mega mansion, right? So, but just wanted to give you an idea if you're a first-time buyer looking at buying a smaller home or downsizing. If that's you, then this kind of will help you kind of give you a blueprint of kind of what the number should cost if you're getting estimates from contractors. If you want to run some numbers by me, definitely feel to reach out. I really do enjoy this stuff. So definitely reach out and let me know how I can assist you. If you have any questions about buying a home here in Southern California and what it takes to get your offer accepted, it's a really interesting market right now. Definitely feel free to reach out. Love again, just to be the resource of information and answer any questions you might have. All right, so if you did like this video, definitely make sure you like, comment, and share it. And we will look forward to seeing you on the next home tour.